Miss Jackson, what do you call me, Miss Jackson? We are officially live. I'm so excited. Hello, family. How are you doing on this beautiful Thursday? We are entering into, we have entered into spring. Charmaine and I are representing our colors. I hope you out there representing yours. I'm just checking my Facebook because, yes, we are live. I turn my ringer down so it doesn't interfere with the conversation we're about to have. I want to say, wherever you are, first and foremost, I want to say that I hope that you're doing amazing. And then secondly, I just want to send you some good energy. We're going to be into a great dialogue. Tag a friend. This is not about having a monologue. We're here to have a dialogue with you. We want to empower you and uplift you. So please do tag a friend. I have an amazing guest, Charmaine Jackson-Fieldman, who is a guru. She is an expert and a leader in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think a conversation that needs to be had across all platforms today, now, and in the future. So I'm so excited to have her. She's coming to us all the way from Houston, Texas, y'all. Houston, Texas. From Houston, so I'm so excited. Before I get started, I'm just going to do a little bit of sharing this with a few people to let them know we on and we ready to do business. And I hope and pray that all of you will definitely tag a friend, invite them. This is a dialogue that you just don't want to miss. If you see me squinting, it's because I'm in denial. I have my glasses right here, but you know, sometimes you gotta do, and yeah, this is just one of them. So here we go. I think we're good for now in terms of my sharing. Thank you and welcome. Welcome to the Fit Live platform. For those of you who are familiar, this is going to be repetitive, but for those of you who are new, I think it's important for me to highlight why I created this platform. And it truly is an opportunity for women, Black women and women of color, to really share not only knowledge and information to inspire and uplift you, but also for you to tap into these amazing resources that exist in the world that the world wants to tell us don't exist. And I want you to tell them that all they need to do is connect with Cheryl Grant and they can have access to any one of them. This platform was truly created because there wasn't a place really allowed us to showcase our talents. So we're here to highlight both the journalistic stories, professionals and entrepreneurs of color. We want to explore all the important and necessary information to help guide, inspire, and encourage all aspiring business owners and professionals of color. We plan to equip them with specific concrete examples, tools, tips, tricks to lead them toward their own successes, not only in business, but in life. The question always beckons when we're here on the Fit Life platform is, are you fit? What is fit, Cheryl? Are you fit? What is fit, Cheryl? FIT stands for faith, intuition, and tenacity. It is a mental construct that I have developed. It's a proprietary system. I have programs designed behind them. What it does is teach you how to get grounded in you. Faith, believing in the impossible. Don't never, ever let anybody steal your dream. God gave to you, it's only up to you to manifest it. That's your faith and belief in yourself to do it. Intuition, when God's talking to you and you're not listening, but you keep getting that tugging, He's talking to you. Listen and move in that direction. And then tenacity, the willpower to just go do it. That's all that it takes. And you're now here in a community of individuals that's here to support you. And I'm so excited because today I have a special guest. Her name, she's a longtime family friend. I have to just tell you, we go back, like way back, but it's all good. She's amazing, not because I love her so much, because I do, but she just truly is. She has really gone through things that she can help direct you so you don't have to go through them. She is an expert in diversity, equity, and inclusion. She's been in the supplier diversity side of the business as long as I can remember, even in our first beginnings. So I want to say, wherever you are, please just stop what you're doing and give my girl Charmaine Jackson-Feldman a round of applause. Hey,
hey, Cheryl, how you doing? I'm doing so great.
Are
I'm,
you good?
I'm
Are you
sorry.
good?
I'm so good. I mean, actually, the sun came out after many days of cloudiness in Houston. And, we took it for granted, or at least I took it for granted in California, that it was going to sunshine every day for the rest of my life. And so I decided to wear yellow today because the sun is shining, and it's shining on my life in so many ways, Cheryl. So I'm so good. I just want to say I'm over the moon good right now. And thank you for introducing me. Thank you for having me on your show. I can't tell you how grateful I am to be on your platform. I'm so incredibly, thankful that you have this platform to share, because we haven't had it. And when you told me about your dream many, many years ago, and what you wanted to do with connect dots, and just really understanding it from a high level, I know your soul, I know your spirit to share. And so I am here to add to the knowledge to all that are watching, and that may have journeys that may be similar or even different than mine. So thank you for doing this for all of us. I'm not speaking just for me. Thank you for doing it for me, but thank you for doing this for all the incredible women of color that need this platform, that don't have it, and don't have the means to go out and pay media companies, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get on to showcase what is amazing talents they have. So
Exactly.
thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. And I just want to say, if you're on, please let us know you're here and you're watching. I see the eyes are adding up. I want to thank everybody who is joining. Please do tag a friend. This is meant to be an empowerment for you. There are people that charge just to share information. You're getting it here right now for free. And the information is to do nothing other than to uplift you and to empower you and to educate you and to help you to navigate through these waters and make sure that we come out on the other end of 2021 farther ahead than we started in 2020. And we know we've all been through some things in 2020.
Yes.
With that, I'm not going to waste any more time. I want to jump right in and really share a little bit of background. Now, I'm going to add a little bit to this, but I really want to give you more of a detailed outline of Charmaine and who she is. Charmaine Jackson-Feldman. Let me do this just so that I do it some justice and I don't mess up. I'll put my glasses on. Charmaine Jackson-Feldman is a diversity leader whose career has spanned 2 decades in supply chain and the inclusion of a diverse composition of suppliers, where her leadership has successfully contributed to supply chain inclusion in Fortune 500 companies. She was responsible for the strategic plan and growth of California's largest investor-owned water companies as chair of the California Water Association Utility Supplier Diversity Committee. Her passion for growth potential of diverse businesses and the competitive advantage to organizations are evident throughout her 15 years of procurement experience, where she specialized in strategic sourcing, partnerships and technology, information technology. She is a tireless advocate for inclusion and has received numerous awards, including Advocate of the Year, Charmaine studied business management at San Jose State University and is a certified professional in supplier diversity. Charmaine has served many community and professional trade organizations, including the Institute of Supply Chain Management, Silicon Valley, Industry Council of Small Business Development, and the Native American Indian Chamber of Commerce of California. She is born in Los Angeles and a longtime resident of Silicon Valley. Charmaine is known for her culinary skills. And when I tell you this girl can I'm not talking about kind of cook. I'm talking about the kind of cook that you cross your legs and your toes start to curl. And walking back and forth. Trust me, she does that. Her heart is in helping people to realize their potential and in helping businesses reach their goals. Her life motto is, I have been given much in my life, and I realize to whom much is given, much is expected. Everybody, again, join me in a round warm of applause for Charmaine Jackson.
Yay. Thank you, sure. What an amazing bio you shared. I mean,
Start with the people don't understand is that a lot of times we want to really put ourselves in a box. I'm good at this, and that's the only thing that actually corporate will allow you to do. You're multifaceted. And one of the things that I know true to you is, yes, while you are invested in diversity, inclusion, equity, and inclusion, you are an amazing chef. Like, no, you are an amazing chef. You're very creative. You are, if anybody knows Charmaine, she's a tech guru. Like, she's really that techie person. I'll tell you about her. Like, I have a lot of friends in my life, but I'm going to tell you, Charmaine is a Raiders fan, just so y'all know.
I was going to say that. I forgot that in my bio.
But no, Char is the girl that gets painted face, Raiders fan. Like, wait a minute.
A different level.
No, she has to help me. Like, okay, so what did they just do, and what was that? What do you think? Like, no, this is what they did, and no, that wasn't right. Like, she is truly a fan. So I want to say, Char, I love you and all that you do, and your diversity and who you are. And I want you to, like, don't ever let that die. Let that die.
I know I can't. Cheryl, out of all the things you said about me, all the academic things that I've done and achieved, they're all well. And, I take a sense of pride in what it really stands for is giving back, right? Like minority businesses now transitioning into the world of diversity, equity, inclusion, how I'm going to leave my legacy, because I think about these things at night. But, some of my most proudest things, being a mom to 5 children now, blended 5 children that are amazing kids, just everyone in their own right, all successful and doing their own thing. But also what you have to understand is the reason why food is so important to me is because it speaks to the hearts of many. And so we'll talk a lot about my diversity, equity, inclusion, but if you really understand that even cooking and entertaining, bringing folks together is a part of inclusion, right? So that they feel psychologically safe, they feel warm to open up, they feel okay to engage and tackle the world, that. And then if you understand why I am so committed to, or was to, the Oakland Raiders, which is now the Las Vegas Raiders, is because the city of Oakland meant so much to me from an activist standpoint for underserved communities and what the Black Panthers did for the city of Oakland. So it was tied to the Oakland Raiders because during those days, Al Davis did so much for inclusion. He hired the first Black coach. He hired the first Hispanic coach. He hired players that were at the end of their careers, and he brought them back in to make them feel included. So all of those things really work in tandem, right? It's really all a basis of my foundation, which is giving back and really committed to helping those that are really and I don't like to use the word underserved, because who's underserved? For those that don't have the platform or have not been given access to what some others have been given to, whether it be means of financial gains or favoritism and colorism. They've been on the out group side. So all of that plays into what all that I'm doing now in my life, what I foresee for the future, and also my love, my which I want to say, I always say it, Oakland Raiders, but they're the Las Vegas Raiders now. And I actually tried to leave them. I tried to quit them, but I couldn't let go. I tried. I told my husband to throw all my Raiders gear out, forget it, I'm letting them go. And then he said, well, the trash man is coming this week. Are you really ready to let go of your Raider stuff? And I said, no, don't let it go. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. So that's a
true fan. And I tell y'all, she really is. But Char, okay. I want to reel it back.
Sure.
What I want to hear is true value, and I got to tap in. So, Char, the first question I want to ask you about, and I want you to think about this in terms of being fit, faith, intuition, and tenacity. What are you most passionate about?
I know that, and I thought about this for some time because I'm actually at a pivotal point in my career where, I'm giving back because my legacy is actually giving back. And I know that I'm passionate about giving back to the community, giving back to the younger generation. Really, really, really means so much to me, paying it forward. I'm mentoring a young lady who's working in the water industry. I'm so proud of that. But if I had something to say that I'm really passionate about, it's passionate about bringing people together, really bringing people together for inclusion. It's a part of the diversity, equity, inclusion part of the organizational behavior, but really bringing folks together to have a great time, to create. I heard someone in my life say, create memorable moments. Those are really important to me. And so that, because everybody has an end date. Everybody has an end date. We don't know what that end date. And if the pandemic has shown us nothing, it has shown us that we all have an end date, right? And so when we get to that end date, what will we have remembered? And so we will have remembered those loving times, those inclusive times where we had people over, where we felt we were part of a group, even if it's work, because we spend so much time in our organizations, right? What are those memorable times? Do you remember having a great time with your colleagues? Because at the end of the day, you have organizational goals, but really, really pulling those in is a part of your life. So what are you leaving behind? So I'm passionate about giving back, really making sure that people are included. I have stepped outside of my comfort zone to do so on many occasions and just share with people my experience so that maybe they can leverage those experience and go a different pathway. So that really, really speaks to my heart of really inclusion and really, really helping those that otherwise don't have the opportunities.
I love that. I love that, Shar, because that's one of the things we share in common. It's always about helping others and how can we uplift others, and that's why I created this platform. But I'm gonna just dial back because there's a lot of people in my listening audience that are entrepreneurs. Some of them are corporate. You've had an opportunity to truly work with both, and I really want to speak right now to the entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs are. Please do listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. I am about to tap in and ask Charmaine some questions that are particularly important for you. And then we're going to dial in, Charmaine, to where you are now and what you're doing.
Sure.
You have been the spearhead of supplier diversity, and you understand WeBank, all the different certifications, and what the importance of those certifications. As a business owner, these businesses are under struggling, Star. They're really trying to find their way landscape that we're in and really trying to find their footing with setting up the best business that they possibly can. What do you have to say about one, supplier diversity, especially when you're tapping into corporate supplier diversity? I know the government side of it, there's many different aspects, but what advice would you give them, and what's your experience and what advice would you give them?
Well, the pandemic, as horrible as it has been, it's also set up a plethora of opportunity to access to capital for which our businesses have never been able to access, right? So there's access to capital in PPE, there's access to capital in loans, forgivable loans, and we haven't had that access. And the only thing that I say is, stay ready. You don't have to get ready. This is exactly what my girl Shelly always tell me. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Make sure your business is in order. So then when you have the opportunity to go after this capital, so you can expand your service offering so that you can be certified as a minority-owned business, or so that you are in alignment with the opportunities and grants that are available to you, or if a company has an order for $1 million and you have to fulfill it, right? That you are business ready, making sure that your capital is in order, your taxes are in order, because again, there's a plethora of opportunities that we haven't had. We always talked about access to capitals. in the organizations that I worked for, which were large billion-dollar organizations, they were always wanted to do business with minority business, but they always felt that they had capacity issues. Well, we never had capacity issues. If we had the funding and the finance, we don't have a capacity issue. If we need to fill up warehouses with tangible goods, or if we need to hire 8 people on our staff because we provide services, we can do it if we had the capital. So my advice is to, number one, make sure your finances are in order. Make sure you're ready for accessing this capital that's available to us now through, this pandemic, and really, really expand your network. That's the third thing I would think of, is expand your network. Talk to people in organizations that are closely knitted with the small business community and the minority business community. One of those is, and I'll say this, sure, I know the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce works with large corporations. I know that, the National Minority Supplier Development Council in the Western region, specifically on the West Coast, but it says a national footprint of networks that can really support you. And even during this pandemic, as horrible it is, as much as we're not seeing each other face to face, the social media platform is a plethora of conferences and networking opportunities. And one thing it allowed us to do is really sit down and take our time and focus on, say, the business aspect, making sure that your finances in order, making sure that you're available for the grants, and then also expanding your network. So hopefully that really helps someone, because I think that over the years that I worked in it, again, I would hear so many corporations say, well, they don't have capacity. They're not ready. They've been ready. They've been ready. They didn't have banks willing to loan them $1 million. They didn't have the capital.
So one of the things I know, because you have worked on the other side of it, and so we go out as entrepreneurs, get certifications that we need, all this supplier diversity and the we banks of the world and whatever, SB, whatever those certificates. I know there's a numerous amount. There's several of them. My question to you is, once you do that, that's really not enough, Char. And a lot of people don't tell you, like, there's more to that. Getting certified is one aspect. Do it. But then after you do it, how do you recommend to these entrepreneurs that they really gain access to being considered for these potential bids that are out there, because there's so many of them? Any recommendations that you would make to them in order to help them better position themselves once they've gotten the certification, their finances in order, their books are in order, they have their website, they have their once that's in place, because you still need to be able to access, and especially in this pandemic, Char, you can attend social networking events. Recommend that they take that step from this perspective.
Yeah, so I would say that you need to build close relationships. In the organization, you're going to really need to do some homework. I have transitioned now to DEI, and I'm on the business development side. And one of the things that I think that has been the best advice someone gave me is to develop relationships with folks that will carry you for a long time. It's really important that if you are pursuing, say, for instance, a PG&E, you get in and find out which relationships, who is actually there, is responsible for making those decisions. And if you can't get to the decision maker, get to a champion, get to someone that is in these networking organizations that will help champion you. Because I've had to have some lessons learned as well, going down rabbit holes and going to every bid opportunity, seeking and participating in bid opportunities. And it's so many, like you said, it's overwhelming. So I would say one of the things I used to say specifically when I was helping entrepreneurs is take 5 opportunities that you really want to deeply dig into, and you'll pursue them like no other. You give it a certain amount of time, you give it a certain amount of engagement, you find someone that knows someone. I mean, LinkedIn is a plethora. You're only one or two engagements away from someone that's a decision maker. And you continue to consistently try, because I know that with consistency and tenacity, you will absolutely be able to get through to someone in an organization that you can really compete for the business. And they will let you know. I think the real thing that's important is an open, honest dialogue. Is there opportunity to work with me or not? No, not right now. No, period. We have a supplier in place for 10 years. Or yes, there's an opportunity. So, that's also for the decision makers that are listening in tonight. Be open and honest with the suppliers, especially entrepreneurs. Their time is extremely valuable. Every dollar in business development and seeking an opportunity to work with you is time. It's not like they're on a 2 weeks fixed income from an organization. It's really their time, their effort, and it really means a lot to them if you have open and honest dialogue.
Oh, Shar, that was valuable information. Oh my goodness. You guys, if you're not taking notes, if you don't have a notepad, anytime you come to Fit Live, bring a pen or a piece of paper, a pen, a pencil, and a piece of paper so that you can take notes. The information is too valuable for you not to be taking notes. And even though you think you know, write it down anyway. You can go back over it and you'll realize, oh yeah, let me make sure I'm applying what's been said here. Because it's one thing to know it. It's another thing to apply it. And if you really want results don't happen because you think about them. Results don't happen. I mean, that's a great start, but it doesn't start there. There's some efforting that needs to happen.
Yes, absolutely.
Action, thoughts without works, like the Bible said, faith without works is dead. It's not gonna, I can have all the faith in the world, but if I'm not willing to do the work, it's not gonna take me to the next level. So she's giving you the information. I just want to empower you to listen, write it down, and then apply it the next day. How are you applying this? I say this often, Charmaine, whatever you focus on, Oprah says it really, but I kind of
it expands.
But Oprah's a guru. We should all still
Yes.
Oprah, like
Yes,
absolutely. Michelle Obama, my queen in the back, if she say something, I'm gonna listen. They go low, high. We have to start having different conversations, and we have to be willing to push each other to take the steps. It's not enough just to talk about it. Even on this platform, I can bring you the information. If you do nothing with it, then it's just a waste of your time. But if you're joining in and you really are trying to seek to take it to the next level, when I bring these experts, listen to what they say, then go apply it. That's the tenacity part. Go do it. You got to go do something. So Shar, I'm going to shift. And
Sure.
She has an alter ego. I won't tell you what that is.
No, because I feel this DJ stole my alter ego name, but he can't be me.
Well, you know, Beyonce has one. It's called Something Else, right?
Right. And the DJ is Charmaine. Charmaine again.
She'd be like, don't let me bring Charmaine out. Okay, so Charmaine, we're going to bring her out because here goes the thing. We've been talking about supplier diversity, and you've been giving people really great tips about, working both ends of it. Once you get the certification, then you got to build a network. And if you don't do anything, she told you to spend at least focus on 5 people that you're going to go try to build that relationship with in order. And I'm going to apply these steps. Everything you're saying, I'm going to apply them too. I want to say to you though, now, Shar, you are out in the world and you're now all on this diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this company that you're working for and this leadership role that you have is all about biases. Can you talk to us about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just so excited about what I'm doing these days. And actually it works in tandem with supplier diversity too. Because if you don't think that when you walk in a room and you're a minority business, someone already has a perception of whether or not you can perform, then you really don't understand it. So I have heard suppliers say, I don't want a certification, because then it targets me as a minority business and it puts me in a category as a small business. it is true, but it's not true. First of all, you have to step up to the plate, but it is true. Biases exist in every single one of us. Basically, the only thing that you could do to not have a bias is live on an island. And I was thinking about this the other day. I watched a movie some time ago called Blast from the Past, and Brandon Fraser went underground and was underground for 35 years, and he came up to Earth. Okay, after this 35 years, his dad was a nuclear physicist, and he thought that we had been hit by a nuclear bomb. And so he took his whole family underground, and they were in there. The guy came up, he didn't have any biases because he had been underground for 35 years. He didn't have all the input of television, of media, of family outside his mom and dad to influence him, and they were of the utmost integrity. But unless you have been in that situation, we all have biases. We have been watching TV, we have read newspaper, we have read books. We talk about this all the time. And the field that I'm in right now specifically focuses on equity and inclusion from an unconscious bias perspective. I will say that it's also in tandem with supplier diversity, because people that are making the procurement decisions actually have a bias. They have a bias when they're deciding who gets the contracts, okay? And so we are working very diligently to unpack it, to mitigate biases, so that you check your biases, because you don't just turn them off when you go to work. They develop year over year over year. And the company I'm working with is a SaaS platform. We mitigate unconscious bias so that you work your cognitive empathy. You think before you make decisions on biases that have been with you for many, many, many years. And we're battling it and working really hard to overcome those biases in organizations, whether it be in procurement decisions, or workplace decisions, or organizational behavior decisions, whether it comes to hiring or putting the right person, or putting the person that may be seen as the out group in a position for success. And that's the part that really is important, Cheryl, because if you think about it in tandem and really listen to me on this, equity means it equals dollars, right? Equity is equal to dollars, and it relates to creating equity so that you have financial equity as well. So when you're in supplier diversity, what are you looking? You're looking for the contract so that, number one, your company can keep growing, you can keep hiring people, right? And when you have earning equity, if Joe is making $160,000, they're paying him $160,000 to do the same thing you're doing. Why shouldn't you be making $160,000, right? So that it works in tandem. Unconscious bias works across every facet of our lives, organizational behavior. And I'm so excited to be here right now, because we are going into these organizations and providing them some real deep understanding of how it works under stress. We're watching an all-time high of xenophobia, 150% increased, violence toward the Asian American and Pacific Islander community. We have had knees on our necks for years, but why do we have to have knees on our necks in the workplace too? We don't. So we are looking to really impact a person's experience in the workplace, and also the person that is in the in group. There's a realization that if you just, check your biases, that most people, not all people, implicit bias is real. You cannot change someone that has true implicit bias, but most people want to do a better job, and most people want to do the right thing. And that's why you see the flux of such a high level of allyship going on right now, as you've witnessed. So that is what I'm doing. I'm so excited about it.
Well, no, you bring up some really good points, though, especially with implicit bias. You just said, if you're there and you don't want to change, you're never going to. And I'm of the mindset, Char, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this. They said, the definition of insanity is to continue to do the same thing but expect different results. So I'm mindset. I personally like a lot of African American women and women of color, and they are just two distinct different groups. That's why I speak.
Sure.
Black women are not women of color. Black women, and then we have women of color. We sometimes get diluted out because everybody wants to put us in a box, but we don't get the recognition or the opportunities that we deserve, Shar. And of the mindset that instead of me keep playing a record that's broken, you don't need to. I unapologetically am not going to convince you that racism is real. If you don't get that, then that's really kind of like on you, and you don't want to get it. But if I'm telling you I've experienced, I'm going to ask you if anybody knows anything about me. Trust me in my history that what I'm speaking is true. And from that perspective, how do we map out being better? Like, I don't want to keep having the same conversation about things that I personally have not seen the needle move on, even within corporations. I mean, we're still talking about diversity issues when we've had diversity and inclusion in place in most corporations, but it's just in namesake. Nobody's really holding anybody truly accountable. Well, I want to have a different conversation. I want to talk about how do we, the people who are being inflicted with these implicit biases, and we have them too, like you said,
yes,
it's not a one-way street. We have them different reasons, but we still have them. How do we move forward, Shar, with that?
Yeah, so it's really interesting that you say that. We talk about this all the time. Do you know, Cheryl, that corporations spend $8 billion with the B dollar on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs yearly? Yearly, $8 billion, and there's $8 billion they spend on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and they have no measurement. Hiring, a certain amount from this ethnicity group, this ethnicity group, this ethnicity group. That's not a show of success in the program. Success in a program and measurement is only attained by accountability. You said the key word, holding people accountable, really measuring bias in the organization, which most people don't do. And some quite honestly, and I feel I'm really perfectly safe to say it on your platform, some of them don't want to know the results of the bias in the organization because you have to act on it. But I would like to believe that the people that are now reaching out to us really want to see some movement and cultural shifts. Like you said, insanity, doing things over, the same thing over and over and over again. Well, you begin to shift culture so that it's a part of the DNA. I've seen some organizations that are really good at it. And what they have is not just diversity, equity, inclusion. They have full-on inclusion strategy. They have KPIs, key performance indicators.
Yeah, tell people what a KPI is.
They have key performance indicators that tell them when they reach and attain their goals. They have surveys that help to see that the shift in the culture is taking place. And then they put dollars behind it. And they don't put just dollars behind it. They put their money where their mouth is. They have CEO commitments. They have board recognition. They have bonus incentives to have succession plans. And what they do is they really they peel the layer of the organization back to see, okay, what can we do to be better? They have 5-year strategy. Okay. Right. And not only are we going to take Cheryl to our top executive vice president role, we're going to have her in a CEO. We're going to have her as a president of this division, or we're going to elevate her as the new CEO of Walgreens, right? Because you become an elite group when you actually reach that level of career advancement, right? So now they have a pool of candidates, right? So you start to hold people accountable. You put money behind it and resources. You're not afraid of data because what doesn't get measured, it doesn't even get touched. It doesn't get touched.
What doesn't get measured doesn't get touched.
It's measured doesn't get touched at all. It doesn't mean anything to anyone if it's not being measured.
Well, I think you've said something very loud for corporations who are listening to us today. That they really have an opportunity to step up in a way that's more than just in words. And for me, quite frankly, I am excited for any woman of color or Black woman that's winning and really taking it to the next level. But every time I hear first Black this, first Black that, in some ways it's like a downer for me, because it's like, why are we in 2021 still talking about the first? And it's not because we're not capable. It's clearly because of the implicit bias that you're speaking of. And it's also because, when I look at it, even in my counterparts, why are we not holding more executive roles? Why are we not on the board? And I think it goes back to what you just said. If they're spending $8 billion a year on diversity and inclusion, the numbers don't speak it. That means they're not measuring it. And they're not really, and it's not just like you said on how many Asians, Blacks, Hispanics you hired. It's about how diverse and what kind of succession planning are you doing to make sure they're on that trajectory, to make sure that they're going to be taking the steps to get there. And I think that as far as ERGs are concerned, I want to say, if you have not ERGs, I want to say this to the CEOs of the corporations that are out there and to the executive VPs. If you're not really implementing something that helps to correct the behavior, then how can you overcome the behavior? If you continue to do the same thing, you're going to get the same results. If you have one of the things I thought about, Shar, even with this whole DEI, is that when you have an initiative and you're going to bring in more diverse pool of candidates, make sure your interviewing pool is diverse too. Make sure pooling people that can also look at it from different angles, not only in that, and then that you're measuring how many of those candidates did you pull along, and then once they got in the program, how successful are they? Because if you're pulling these diverse candidates into a toxic pool, they're coming for you, but you haven't changed anything. Millennials are leaving corporations by the droves because they're not willing to accept the things that we did in our generation. I think you're a little younger than me, Char, so I'll give you that.
I'm in the same generation.
So I'm going to pause for a minute, because Char and I have been talking and we've been having our conversation, and I really love when my audience, when you get involved, and if you answer the question, ask it later, or you watch this later, just get involved in the dialogue. That's when this becomes meaningful. That's when it transitions. And Shar said something to us, and I hope we caught it. I consider myself, I'm a claimant. I know it's a big task, but I'm a claimant. I'm the Harriet Tubman of our time. I'm creating the Underground Railroad, y'all. This is an opportunity for us to come together as a collective body and have a voice. Us together, and to really hold those corporations accountable. I want to hold corporations. I want to hold entrepreneurs. If you're not getting the support you need, I'm here to support you. That's what this platform is about. Shar, how does your company help individuals like us? How does your company, you're a SaaS company, you have this implicit software that you go into companies and kind of try to
uncover the biases and then mitigate it. So we do that. And then I know my CEO, she does a lot of mentoring. I do mentoring in the water industry because I know utilities like the back of my hand, right? I feel very comfortable in that space. And that is a space that typically we have diversity goals, and we haven't had a lot of inclusion, but I see the tide changing and I see it shifting. So I see more than just, say, for instance, the Black strong woman being cornered into a diversity role. Okay. I see them outside of that. I see them growing outside of that and going into other lines of business that have P&L, profit and loss, because that's really key to succession planning. So I know my company does some mentoring. We work really diligently to work with academia, because when you start young, when you start tackling biases very young and understanding how and what the best method is to reaching the younger generation and for them to understand bias, I think they understand it, as they become more aware of it. They're very engaged in making sure that they check people right away. I love that about the next generation. They're easy to say, hey, no, it's okay not to say that. It's okay not to say that about George. It's not, it is okay. And, to check you without it being a conflict, without being an angry person. And another thing, Cheryl, that I think is really important, I want to say this. We as African Americans, we don't want to carry the load for every African American when we're having a conversation with you at work. I'm not carrying the load. I can't speak for every Black person. There is even bias, in group bias, right? Blacks against Blacks, colorism, right? Ageism. There's so many, there's 250 biases. Whether it's brown eyes, blue eyes, black hair, long hair, short hair, there's a heavyweight, overweight. There's so many biases. What's really important is that no one person can carry the load for everyone. That's why it's on each one of us. And I don't want to leave white people out of this discussion. White men, I don't want to leave you out of the discussion. In fact, I want to have the discussion with you. I want to make sure that you understand it from my lens so that I can have an impact, so I can tap into your empathy, into your cognitive empathy.
Say this about Shar, and that is an honest statement for her. Shar is in an interracial marriage, and her husband heads the supplier diversity. They have magazine. They're on the front of magazine covers. All that. But Dave is amazing. Dave is amazing. So I thank you for saying that, because it's not about us excluding anybody. It is about all inclusion. But we got to have the conversation, Shar. Yes. We gotta have the dialogue, and we got to be willing to listen to each other. I know that, you're at Cornell University doing your thing, getting your more on diversity and inclusion, and you asked me a very viable question. You said, Cheryl, what's the methodology that you're using for your, and I'm like, is she talking to me? What's the methodology that you're using? Is it a lean in? Are you really, but I think you were spot on when you were asking the questions. So thank you for that. Do you want to expand on that at all?
I do, because what I'm doing at Cornell, see, one thing you taught me, and I will share this with audience, nobody can tell me how to be me. My experiences are real. I have been surrounded by all people of non-color, and I was the only one woman in the room of color, okay? And that includes men and women, okay? And I have been told, racism doesn't exist as a microaggression, right? I've also been asked things like, what are you mixed with? I've been in that position in many occasions. And what I did was, instead of leaning in, I shrank, because I didn't know how to respond without going Charlemagne on them. And so, since I didn't want to go Charlemagne on them,
I've seen her.
Charlemagne is the Oakland Raider fan that will say what she really is feeling. And I understood that that's not a way to reach people, because when you do that, you lose the ear of people. No one is hearing you. You sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. You have to be able to be approachable. But what I mean by, what is the methodology? I have to learn the organizational behavior and where we've been to know where I want to take the organization and how I can be relative to them and tap into what their needs are and what their objectives are. And even in that, when they have it, I can lean in further and provide dialogue and recommendations to them on best practices that I've seen. So the part about Cornell really understanding it through an organizational behavior part is to see some successes and understand methodologies that these organizations are using against against meeting their objectives of diversity and inclusion, and really understanding why they're not being successful, and then making recommendations on ways they can be successful. Now, we work with some really, top-notch SME subject matter experts that are PhDs on implicit bias in the industry, that are nationwide known, and they've been studying this for years. And one of my projects that I was doing for Cornell was going back to Jane Elliott's study of brown eyes, blue eyes. And let me tell you, Cheryl, I don't think I've been that impacted. We have some compelling content in our platform, but I haven't been that impacted because in 1992, the same issues that we were facing then, we're facing in 2021. We're just talking about them more now, right? We're talking about them more now. We just have uncovered it all. We opened up the door and let all the birds out, and we're uncovering it, and we want to do something about it. But it's sad. It saddened me to see Jane Elliott's Brown Eye, Blue Eyes, and this is Oprah show, 1992.
Right.
What happened when they separate the brown eyes from the blue-eyed people, and we're acting the same today. So I've got to be a part of the solution moving forward, whether it be in diversification of the supply chain, but through me and my husband's work, who is Mr. Diversity, and I just love him. He is a force of nature. And you mentioned
You will see her and her husband all on the magazine covers.
Yeah. Yes, he's a force of nature himself, but also through this work that I'm doing, because really, I'm in that quarter of my life where I really want to see impact. I can't play the game. I can no longer, participate in programs that just want to spend money for just checking a box. No more checking boxes.
Me too. Oh my God, me too. This is so enriching, you guys. I hope you're getting something. Oh my God, that's Lysandra Hunt. We're gonna get her on this platform too. She's the VP at Chase, and she is an amazing leader. She's an amazing advocate, and I'm so thankful to know her. But thank you, Lysandra, for tapping in. Shar, you just said so much that was so meaningful for me. Like, this is so good. Thank you, Lakeisha. We're getting something. Please tap in, tag a friend, ask a question. Shar is amazing, and she's here to address your questions. Shar, I know I've watched you raise your kids, college graduates, all of them doing phenomenally well, living their best lives. You're like me, you're first-time grandmommy.
Yes, I am.
Life, but Shar, I want you right now. I'm gonna dig a little deeper because
Sure.
we're waiting on the questions, because I know the questions are coming in, right, you guys? You're not gonna just some questions. But while we're waiting for the questions to come in, Shar, I would love for you to explain or share an example of something. I know you just did kind of sort of, but I'm gonna ask you to dig a little deeper.
Okay, sure.
How you overcome, how you have been faced with a situation and how you overcame it to be better on the other side and not engaged in it, so that emotions are something, Shar. I have another friend, DB Bradford, who teaches emotional intelligence too. Part of biases, right? But it's just how to manage your emotions.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have the weight of the world, Shar, and everybody keep coming to you, well, how do you feel about that Black thing that was said? Or how do you feel? And be like,
right. Exactly.
Can't be, go do your own education, Google it, figure it out, watch a movie. There's a great one that one of my clients gave me insight to, and it's called American Skin.
Okay.
Watch that. It's a documentary. It's amazing. No, just watch it. It's really good, and especially for those. I have another client that I'm going to be working with that just gave me this book.
Okay, that's great.
Let's really talk that race doesn't issue. But Shar, can you share? Sure.
So I talked about in the very beginning of the show how I was an advocate for, I don't say underserved, I say people that didn't have access, right? I talked about the Oakland Raiders, all that. I talked about my passion about giving back. And, I had to figure out a way that I could do this on an organizational level and give back, because I was watching so much disparity, even with the folks that I work with, right? I was the only African-American manager at one of the utilities, and female manager at the utilities. And so I felt like my career was always going to be, unless I did something really wrong that was just out of step, I was going to continue to grow with the organization at the level that I was held to grow at. I don't think that, there was any succession planning for me. There's no mentoring, there's no executive sponsorship. But I thought that the best thing that I could do, especially after having had left, because I didn't leave because of money. Okay, really, I didn't. I didn't leave because I wanted more money or they weren't going to pay me enough. I left because I knew that I had to grow. And I knew that if I wanted to see some changes in the way that people were helping people of color or what they were overcoming, I was going to have to take the next step in my career. And so when I came to work at BioSync, the first thing I did was I reached back to the company that I worked for. And I said, listen, I can't see a better way for you guys to have some growth here than to use this platform. And this is a company where I tell you, if I do not tell you, my vice president told me racism did not exist. I heard all type of microaggressions about our 44th and most fabulous president, just because it was disagreements, right? They just didn't see it from a political standpoint the way that I did, and that I told you I shrink, right? Or I would go to executive level events and I would be the only person of color there besides my colleague, just one man and one woman of color. And so then I stepped back and I said, okay, what is the best way I can help here in organizations? What can I do? I can leverage my experience to help other people grow. So I went back. We are launching BioSync with that company. It feels like it is, I can't tell you emotionally what it does for me to see them shifting and wanting to see a shift in the organization, to want them to see leaders of all colors now grow, right? But that took some courage to leave. Now, because I wasn't going to get fired, I truly wasn't going to get fired. To have advocates, to have relationships. I talked about relationships, right? To have relationships that I could go back in and help them become a better place to work, a more attractive, best place to work, and to be able to recruit from our pool of HBUs or people of color so that we can have financial equity. So that's what I had decided. That's what I decided for me, which way was going to be able to do this in a professional manner, using my platform and knowledge to really reach back to those that didn't have the opportunity. I'll say this again, I don't ever really like using the word, and I try really diligently to see underserved, because no one's underserved. They just didn't have the opportunity.
Ooh, Shar, that's a mouthful within itself. Well, Lakeisha, who is another amazing coach out in this world doing great things. And I just want to say to you, Lakeisha McDonald, continue to shine. Queen, I see you. I want you to know I see you. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can. I believe that as a community, we always strive and thrive better. And I don't feel a lack because I have a platform and coach and you coach. I just feel we just do it better together. So I just want to say that to you. And thank you for your question. Shar, Lakeisha's question is, what is a good way to start the conversation and bring awareness to the lack of diversity within your organization without sounding like a victim or a broken record?
That's a great question, Lakeisha. I absolutely empathize with that. With that question and that situation where it's always like you're the diversity person. When I used to walk down the hall in some of the companies I work for, they would say, "Here comes the diversity lady." Like, oh, really? What is it about me that makes you think I'm just the diversity lady? I'm Charmaine. I'm the cook. I'm the Oakland Raider fan. And by the way, I'm contributing. I am contributing to your value so that you continue to collect your revenue from your customers. So I'm all of these things. I'm a community giver. I'm a philanthropist. But what I found really worked for me, Lakeisha, is having an advocate and having an ally within the organization, someone that doesn't look like you, so they can't just say that it's only you, but having a one-on-one conversation with someone that's in an ally role, that can also be a champion for you, right? Because you need those champions. And that's why I said I don't want to exclude the white man out of the conversation. He is a part of the solution. And a lot of times, he's not always the most biased person. He can act as a champion. White women act as champions too in their own right when they are open and receptive to understanding the value of the talent they have. To be honest with you, Cheryl, the woman that championed me in my first role in procurement and that helped me elevate my career in procurement was a white woman. And I'm so grateful to her to this day because she saw my talent beyond my skin color. So find that ally. Find someone that you can begin open up. Maybe it's someone outside of your circle. It might be someone you don't even know in the organization. It might be George down the hallway that is the IT dude that maybe you didn't want to, have this conversation with him because you felt you didn't have things in like. But you'll find you have so much in common with people when you open yourself and allow yourself to be vulnerable without sounding like a victim, and then explaining and hearing things from their lens. I hope that answered your question.
Gosh, Char, I love you so much, and I think you're just amazing as a friend, as an advocate. You shared with everybody. Did you hear her say have an ally and have a champion? That's very, very important. She said it was a great answer. That's very, very important. Char, what I love about what I do is we get to share and empower others, and there's no greater feeling in the world. Like, I'm overjoyed right now. But what happens is, like, it's already 6 o'clock. Like, the time just flies. It just flies when you're having good dialogue and you're sharing good information. I just want to say, Char, if you could leave people with one thing, what is it that you want to leave them with? What do you want to leave them with today?
Number one, figure out what your passion is. Money will come when you do what you love. It really, really will. I believe that. I've been blessed in so many ways. We talk about experiences. I was a single mom. When you do what you love and when you come from a place of authenticity and when you give more value than you can ever imagine to someone, it could be helping someone just in kind words, listening. When you give more than what you expect in return, everything is added to you. Even sometimes when other people are not doing the right things, you do the right thing, then it ultimately pays off. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but somewhere down the road, it will. So do what you love. I know that I'm doing what I love. I'm passionate about this area, and everything will be added to me. And even when I do step away from it, I'll be able to see the results of my work for generations to come. So I implore you to really do what you love.
Oh my God, thank you, Char. Those are words of wisdom. I want to ask you, Charmaine, how can we support you?
Yeah. So thank you, Cheryl. Well, first of all, this platform is amazing. Our conversation dialogue, so real. You're my sister beyond just a colleague, all of those things in the professional world. You're my sister, and I love cooking for you. I love making the peach cobbler for you and the boys. I do.
Fight over the cobbler, y'all know, like everybody fights over. Everybody, her peach cobbler never lasts. It's the first thing to go, always.
It really is, and so thank you very much. But you have given me a platform to really demonstrate, what my love is, what my passion is, and how I'm going to leave my legacy in the professional world, and what I'm doing. Also, my love for the Oakland Raiders. So thank you for that. I would like to say that if anyone has interest in learning how you can, find out a little bit more about biasing and our platform and our solution and what we're doing that is so amazing, is www.biassync.
Okay, let me take that one down. Let me put this right. It's let me get it right. Hold on. I'm so sorry about that, you guys. I thought I was ahead of the curve.
That's okay.
IAS.
BIAS. SYNC.
SYNC.
Bison.
Oh, okay.
And our CTO, Cheryl, he was the CTO and wrote the algorithm for Tinder, because our platform takes science and technology and assesses unconscious bias using some form of the IAT, the Harvard IAT, but more related to workforce. And so, of course, he was the CTO of Tinder, and why that's relevant is because he was he has a knowledge of psychographics and really matching vision and technology with vision. So it's amazing folks to work for. I'm so excited about what I'm doing there. You can reach me at biasync.com, and I'm open to hearing from all of you or any of you. And thank you so much for letting me share. I feel so blessed and so just, full. I feel full as well, with gratitude.
And I want you to know, I wore yellow too, and I didn't even call her. Great
I
mind.
know, because we sisters.
I just want to say, I love you. I respect you. I adore you. I admire your journey. I know your journey, and it brings tears to my eyes as a single mother, making sure that your kids got the right education. And really, Char, you did it. You did that. Just excel in the life that you're living now. I know firsthand. I'm so proud of you. I'm so thankful for you in my life. And for everybody who has listened to this, continue to support the work we do. We're here for you. And we're here to uplift and inspire and encourage you. I want to say next week we're going to have an amazing guest that I want you to stay tuned for. And he is going to be amazing. So I want you to do that. If you want to continue to support me, donations are always welcome. You can go to www.cherylgrant.com. Cheryl spelled with an S. You guys know all my names. Please, it costs you nothing to follow me. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. Sign up for my newsletter. We have amazing things for you that we're constantly sharing and encouraging you and giving you more things for you to be your best self. And with you, Charmaine, I love you so much.
I love you too, Cheryl.
Thank you, Queen, for being here today, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.